Radio.com.
Welcome back on the Good Morning Artesia radio show, and we have taken our camera and our microphone across town to Artesia Animal Clinic, and Dr. Larry Young is with us. And if you can see in the background, if you're watching online, it looks a little festive, like it's Christmas time around here. And it's been a few weeks since we came by and visited with you here. How's the move-in process going? Everybody getting settled here in the new location?
Yes, sir. Just like any move-in. We're still unpacking.
And the remodel of your old building, how's that coming along?
That's moving along quick. They put in glass today, so it's looking nice.
Yeah. So for those that don't remember, you basically built a building double the size of your original building right next to your original building, but you're incorporating your original building into this new facility.
Yes, sir. That'll be administration.
Okay. And we took a little tour the last time that we were here, and I may throw up some of those pictures again, too, because it's really, really nice. What we wanted to talk about today is we're getting close to Christmas. Folks are thinking about Christmas presents that they want to give to their family, maybe kids in the family. And we want to talk about how wise it is to give the gift of a pet, be it a dog or a cat or a bird or something like that. And you've got some advice that you want to share with our folks regarding parents or grandparents that are wanting to do something like that.
Well, it's not only an investment for the family or the couple, but a lot of people buy pets like they buy other things. Mm-hmm. Good example, I worked with a lady in Dallas years ago that she bought a car just because she liked the way it looked. Uh-huh. Didn't know anything about its history or its mechanical issues on that. And just watching, interacting with, people get a puppy that's cute. And there's several things you need to think about when you're considering getting a puppy. Well, first of all, he's not going to be a puppy that long.
Right.
You're going to go through a puppy stage, so if you're getting a retriever mix, you need to be prepared for destruction in your backyard. Mm-hmm. And they need to research the breeds if you're buying a purebred. A lot of people don't think about the fact is what's going to happen when you got an old dog that weighs 200 pounds and can't get up again. Mm-hmm. I'm getting to the point in my career I can't pick those up anymore on that one. Yeah. Or they need to do some serious research with purebreds because every one of them has pros and every one of them has cons. And are you willing to accept the responsibility as a pet owner and also financially for the cons? And you can go online, look up any breed you want to, and they all have things inherent with the breed on that. Research. They need to research it. Second of all is the puppies are going to need to be vaccinated starting at 6 weeks. And if the breeder tells you they've given the shots, no, they haven't. They've given the first one.
Okay.
You still have, depending on the breed, 2 or 3 more, 3 weeks apart. And that's extremely critical in the life of the pup.
Because talking about the vaccines, let's stay on the vaccines. You're right. A lot of breeders or people that have pets will say, oh, yeah, we've given them all their shots. They've given them all their shots to that point in time. You've got different diseases, different types of vaccines that need to be taken care of. And if they're not done in the puppy stage, by the time they get to be an adult, it's a little too late for some of that.
Right. You can still vaccinate, but like currently we're in a parvo epidemic, mm-hmm. and it's rampant, highly infectious among non-vaccinated dogs. Typical classic virus. But the importance of vaccines cannot be overstated. In Eddy County alone, back in the 70s, we had horrible distemper virus issues. We don't have those now because everyone's done a good job of vaccinating for it. Parvo is a unique one because it just seems to keep year after year going, and they have very good vaccines. A vaccine is only as good as the immune system you're stimulating. That's true for people
Right.
also. So getting on to that, starting their vaccination protocol, they need to. At the same time, while they're puppies, you can start heartworm preventative, and then that will be tested for every year because they're starting to see breaks in heartworm prevention. Started out in the south, of course, they're down by the Gulf, heavy, but we do have them here.
Wow.
We don't, thankfully, we don't have them like they do along the coast, but it's easier to prevent that than it is to treat for it.
Well, and going back to the breeds, I think it's great. You mentioned research. You can go on YouTube. You can go to the AKC website on the purebreds. Different breeds lend themselves to different family situations. Are there a lot of kids? Do you have a lot of visitors? Do you do a lot of traveling? Are these dogs going to be home alone a lot? We saw that during the pandemic. You probably saw that too, where people were home and they went out and got a pet. Now they're having to go back to work and the pet's left at home.
Yes. Probably one of the best examples of, I don't know how you would characterize this, but when 101 Dalmatians came out, what suddenly became the most popular dog everyone had to have was a Dalmatian. And Dalmatians are coach dogs. And so they require a lot for their energy's sake. And a lot of them tend to be either one person dogs or that are not conducive for being, not that they're bad dogs, it's just the way they were bred and for what they were bred for, you know. Jack Russell's another one. I mean, if you look up in the AKC book, that dog was bred to bring game to ground. So they're go-getters.
Right.
And they can take a licking and keep on ticking. That's what I say about them. So they act like your terriers all have a personality. Your retrievers all have similar across the breed. And they all have different requirements by their owners. Taking a dog that requires high energy and leaving him by himself, that's going to warp the dog.
Yeah.
It's going to warp the dog. Probably the second thing they need to pay attention to is, I've adapted this from horses, imprinting.
Okay.
So in the behavioral world, a puppy has 12 weeks for it to become socialized.
Okay. Very
So, yes, very early. Now, that doesn't mean you can't go to the pound, and some of the best pets come from the pound. They were thrown away, and I do believe, because I've seen it here many times, they know they've got a second chance. And then just like we see a lot of dogs that have been dumped in the oil field, and they turn out to be the best pets because they're just happy-go-lucky and they're appreciative of what you've done for them. So you can't say that you can't train an old dog, but it's going to take more effort. But there's several things that need to be done with your puppy. And it doesn't matter if it's a poodle or a pug or a pit bull or a bulldog, is they need to get used rather quickly to what life's going to be like.
Right.
So if you're watching TV and you're holding a puppy, imprinting means that you expose them to external stimuli that they're going to come in contact with. So fingers in the ears, playing with the ears, opening the mouth, getting him used. Oh, they're opening my mouth.
Yeah.
And playing with the paws, playing with each toe. And you have to, and you can't just do one and think it's going to transfer to the left rear when you did the right front. You've got to go all the way around. It's even more critical with a horse.
Okay.
Because they don't transfer their stimulus, their prey species. So what you need to do is play with each of those paws. Wouldn't hurt to do kittens that way also. And that will make your veterinarian's life a lot easier when Fido comes in and you want to look in his mouth or you want to trim his toenails. I mean, if they get that started early, Breeds such as Malteses, poodles, need to start plucking hair out of the ears early, and they'll get used to that, where it's not a big deal on that.
Well, he's talking about me and the beagle we used to have. One time, I forget I think we were trimming the nails of the dog. This was in Roswell at my in-laws' house, and we were trimming the nails on the dog, and the screams were so loud the neighbors called animal control because they thought something was going on with the dog, and all we were doing was trying to trim the dog's nails. Right. So a lot of it depends on the breed, but it's very important at an early age. So if the puppy shows up at Christmas time, somebody's got to be responsible for this. Let me ask you about the weeks. We've always heard 6 weeks. Puppies shouldn't go away from their litter until 6 weeks. Is that still a good thought, or has there been some change in that?
Well, there's a lot of variations on that. You know, some breeders don't want them going until 10 weeks or 12 weeks. Mm-hmm. I'd almost say you're not going to see this, but in a perfect world, they would be totally socialized. And so if you want your puppy to like children, mm-hmm. if you want your puppy to grow up liking people and being pleasant, obedience training for dogs is great, but that first 12 weeks is critical. That's probably the downfall. If it depends, because unless the breeder takes up that responsibility, then you get a puppy that's later on in that socialization area, and it may be a little bit more on that. No one likes a delinquent. No one likes a teenage delinquent, mm-hmm. and the sad truth is, you know, I can't remember the statistics nationally, but a lot of dogs are put down because of behavior problems.
Right.
And a lot of that could have been avoided early on if you're going to have to take time. That's the big thing about that. You know, whether someone gives you the pup or you purchase the pup, you owe it to him as a responsible pet owner to raise him where he has a happy, healthy life.
That's right. Now, you touched on the pound. We have an animal shelter in Artesia. Most communities around us have some form of shelter or group that takes care of shelter pets and tries to find them new homes. There's nothing wrong with going to the shelter and rescuing a pet from the shelter, is there?
No, because you can get dogs. Now, I may get... Animal control may show up tomorrow, want to have a chat with me in the parking lot. But I think you just got to be up front. It's like going to buy a used car. And so, you know, if you're going to get a kitten in there, you know, they've got a tough job to do with a lot of animals. And thankfully, over the years, you know, the majority of our pound dogs will be adopted, most generally going to Colorado, a lot of them. And so there have been major changes, improvements, but it goes back like the dogs in the oil field. You know, I can think of 5 clients that were out in the middle of nowhere, 30 miles or so from anywhere, and someone had dumped a dog and he's thin and stopped and opened the pickup door and he's in.
Yep.
And he ain't leaving.
Yep.
You know, and they turned out to be great companions on that one. So I think, you know, if they have a history on the dog, they'll be more than happy to tell you the history on that. Some of them, there's not in history, you know, but you'll see a lot of people that get pets from the pound.
Yeah.
On that.
And that's a good idea, too, if that's what you're going to do. So I think the main takeaway here, folks, is that if a pet is in the plans for Christmas, there's a lot of things that you need to think about. How young the pet is, the vaccinations, the implants, the impressions, I should say, the training of the pet, and then once the kids go back to school and the parents go back to work, who's going to be responsible for that pet? Because healthy pets are living a lot longer nowadays, and so that pet's going to be part of that family for a while.
Yes, indeed. And you can do a lot up front to ensure that.
So So think about those things before you just run out and say, "Oh, let's get a puppy for Christmas." Think about all the long-term things. Not a bad idea to do as long as you've done the research.
Exactly.
All right. Dr. Larry Young from Artesia Animal Clinic, thank you so much for your time. And thank you for listening. And we'll be back with more on Good Morning Artesia right after this.